Efona bonasa. Attention upon being Ejagham. Yung nagamba ay Oga. Okay? And Yerimon ay Au. Ay Negay. And yung Endum. Yung teman yung ay Tui. So my wife and I lived in Cameroon for 16 years. And we lived in Kenya for 10. 26 years in Africa. We have 3 children. One, the oldest, is, they all have Ejagham names. One is Oga, the oldest. The second is Au, and the third is Ntui, our son. Abo Chenchena Akui.
Akui.
Afona Bonabo. They have all grown and they have their own children. Kan Ndumore, Aki Nyoring Kai. Anyaka Kom Kai. So our son is not yet married, so we're waiting for that time. And in fact, kan choy kikpe na yumete Ejagham, ekibo me kuminate me kube fakinji ekijiochi na yunji. Eyuk se Nelson Mandela ofuabia chore se ochot na ne yumete pikayu echi. Pero chot na ne ka fone yumeje tika ke tamanga. Pare jumji na karet ngome na mbangi se vakume ke pare Ejagham for. The reason we're here is to talk about the Ejagham language. And as Nelson Mandela said, as we heard earlier, that if you speak to a man in a language, you will understand what you say in his head. But if you speak to him in his own language, it will go to his heart. And it's that awareness that motivated my wife and me to come and work among the Ejagham people. Se ayumobasi, yumabo. So that they would hear the word of God in their own language. So iki yare patomofu, iku pobasi, are na aturi, again mofumbi, akare, aki, akaret. It's God who prepared the day. He's the one who's kept it and is giving it to us today. And we ask for His blessings. Chogi kichorege afona chiani, chiyat yerise, ekipa wubab. Ejagham-American. Ichi osueva erise. Ejagham-American afon baging ngimi kansimi. Ichi osuesa erise. Ejagham afon aki fon ngimi tika fon baging ngimi kochi. Ichini usui ni erise. What did you my fabe? Ejagham Kamfini. So I'm going to talk about 4 things this afternoon now. The first is we're going to ask ourselves, where did the Ejagham come from? Secondly, we're going to ask, what is the current status of Ejagham? And third, we will ask ourselves, what is the future of Ejagham? And fourth, we will ask the question, what has already been produced in Ejagham? What is there available these days? Verbandap Evapji, Bagambang say, Ejagham-American. Kanchot ni are jumji okokara ebinga say science, ebinga say linguistics, are osap, eumetek. Now, Sapa Yumetek, among a Kikep Pakanji and a Are Achim Biji Kandapanju, Kanaka Cham Biji Kandapanju. So, in the science of linguistics, we study languages and we can usually see how people are joined together in a common family or not. Eriketuri, Ejagham, Are Chenchenari, Abonian.
I know.
It's true that Ejagham is one unity. It has one family. Linguistics, linguistics, I will say equoid. In linguistics, we call the language family equoid. So if up, BG say equoid, arufan. Ipakan GANA ka chore linguistics, and Osapa Yumetek, yen say ane chore equoid, ekamangi ipakan GA chore. Can equoid ni. Eri ibare aroge ibare kom. Kana jabengun ane batara jioso patasio goja fora ne bako Ejagham bako ne batat ajen kosere ayang cross agek kuwe tum agek Cameroon jabengun ibaranji ane Ejagham tum Ejagham kampa Ejagham-American Ejagham kebara Cameroon. Are ajumbre ye sam ya 100 sagasa. Jia chingina na ebo bunji ane koi chore koi kebuaji. So let me explain in English. We're using the science of linguistics and studying how languages are related. We can make certain estimates. They're estimates. We don't know for sure. But what we do know is these languages are all related. They came from a common ancestor, which we call Equoid, Proto-Equoid. They spoke this language in the area of Ejagham. And it was from there that they began to spread. Some people with their different ways of speaking started going north and went north as far as Ogoja. Those are the Ejagham-Bako people from the Afutop and the Kajuk and the Kim Kum, even, well, not the Bay, they were a little different. I'll come to the Bay in a moment. And De Parakpong, Etung, and over to Cameroon, and the Ejagham-American, Ejagham-American, Calabar. So Aroge, Ajabeng, it was about 800 years ago that they spoke this language, as far as we can make a guess, best guess. When Epu Aneba Anyanaka Magayatem, Anyanaka Jabengum Epakanji. Are Natem Erong na Bube West Anembe. Are Ebutare Epiri Bare Ebutare Bubra. Budu, or Budu, Kibaraji. Kanbe na book na ane koy magayatem. Eka mangi kana magayatem. Ane aki pangagpili butare katome jumasi. So if you go a little before the Equoid people, the Equoid were together with the Mbe, and it was probably up by Obudu area in that area. We don't know exactly why they separated, but they separated, and the Mbe, they speak a language that's very closely related to what we were calling Ejagham. In fact, in these weeks I work with the Mbe speakers as they are translating the Gospel of Luke. So I've been looking at their language very closely. It's got differences, but it's got many similarities. Goiko Mbe Equoid. Ibutat Awar Inatem ye thousand yebai na magatem. Kan abo abai aru ejinji ebinga ayumji ebinga se bentoid cross. Aneba chore ayumji kabe baka yomenya na kamangai pakinji achore mingnya kara mingabo yumabo kan mingabo se bentoid cross. Abuare kebare wukari ogoja boko kebaraji. So before the Mbe and Equoid, when they were still one, they came out of a group of people who were living up in Wukari, Boko, Ogoja. And we call them the Bantoid Cross people. Now, who came out of the Bantoid Cross people? This is the largest grouping of languages in Africa. Equoid, Ejagham, is one group that came out. But there were other groups like the Dakvoid and the Mambiloid, the Tivoid and the Beboid, the Grassfields and the Nyam, and the Bantu languages. They are all Aboninyan, going back to that time. They have the same grandparents of the time of the Bantoid cross back up there in the Goja, Bukari, Boko, in that area. Another group that came out of that were the Bendi, the Upper Cross River, the Lower Cross River. And that's why, in one sense, as the chief said, with the Ibibio-Efik, we are related, but it's more distant. It's more distant. It's like great-great-great-grandparents back there, way back there. Ejumbre ye 1,000 eron na chingina. Kanabo chinchana kumi afon anitam mat matumafo. Kanabo aroge jenam magayate mat yonge abo aki yonge yuma bo aki yonge ebu ajeno jeno and see. So they were together maybe 5,000 years ago is the best estimate, and they began to travel and began to spread in these different ways. And the Bantu went all the way, of course, to East Africa, bit by bit, step by step, slowly in many cases, and all the way to South Africa over the last few thousand years. So, Ekoid, Ejagham, Ade Ndabajuyat. Ekoid Ejagham is one family. Echambiji Nambe or Fuabi, Are Gabiji Bat Nabo. Kanabo Aru Bantoid Cross of Fuabi. But Giebek, Isaram, Quakanjiri, Ekoid Erufan. Eruke Bare, Eastern Nigeria. So this is, I think, enough to just say we can go further, but this is enough for today. Let's just say the Ekoid has been a slow process of gradual migration and farming, and today we find the Ejagham where they are today. It was all kind of along in the eastern Nigeria side, and along with them, of course, were the seeds for many other. They became this language group, and other languages went off in other directions, including the Bantu and the Grassfields and the Tivoid and so forth. So let's Ejagham